Hey everyone, thanks for being punctual and for being patient. Welcome to the Poetry Lab. Maybe an applause for that. Yeah, thanks for being here. Tonight, our featured artist is going to be Sandesh Nagaraj. And we are going to also have Sandesh jamming with Neil Welch, Tom Scully, and Jonathan Rodriguez for Till the Teeth. I can sit down next to you because we'll start in a little bit. But yeah, Poetry Lab, I think this is the second year of Poetry Lab. We were doing it every month, and then this year we're doing it every last Wednesday with a little break in the summer. Poetry Lab is an offshoot of my main monthly event series called Unpoetry. We've been doing Unpoetry for like 4 years this month. And that's been like 1 to 4 shows a month since 2022. I think we only broke once because Underbelly's fucking sewer exploded, which is a good reason to bail on a show, because there's shit everywhere maybe. Yeah, and then the whole kind of impetus behind Poetry Lab is just like what happens when you give a talented artist like 45 to 60 minutes of stage time. We're always scrapping for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And that's great, but I mean, we're around such talented people. It's like, what happens if you fill an hour? So the idea initially was to just give poets an hour, because poets only ever get 10 minutes. Usually that's all you want a poet to fucking read for is 10 minutes. But some people, you're like, I'll take that for an hour. You're a creative brain. Maybe you can do other things. And from that kind of idea of doing language, poets started bringing in different artists, and then I started pulling in movement artists and sound artists and everything like that. So yeah, the whole idea is just to feature people. We have basically the year booked. In next month we'll have Christian Swenson here. The month after that in April we'll have Dejanay Day, and then in May we'll have Aaliyah Swirsky. And we'll take a break over the summer, and then I don't know who we'll get after that. You'll see little QR codes and everything here. For Culture's sponsoring a little part of the show, but the money is starting to wear thin, so we're trying to stretch it out. So if you can make a donation to try and match some of the money for the artist, that's helpful. Also, kind of on that vein of business, I'm trying to start like a monthly Unpoetry Ko-fi membership, and that's like $1 to $5 a month or $10 a month. The idea being, if you can get enough small donors giving just a little bit, then we can actually make the budget for Unpoetry. So Unpoetry in general runs on $10,000 a month, or $10,000 a year. That's what we've been running on. So the monthly membership, if we can get $1,000 a month, actually guarantees that the artist can be paid every month securely without having to like worry about it. So if you've got extra funds or you're into that,
how do we donate?
Membership. What's up?
How do we donate?
There's QR codes laying around on the tables for either my Patreon or the Ko-fi membership. Oh, and if you join for the Ko-fi membership, like everything's free and there's no paywall to anything. So there's like a giant 4-year archive of audio and video from poetry. But if you join the membership, I'm going to give out I'm going to print out some zines and I'm going to send them out. And that's going to be like just an exclusive thing, nothing on the internet, nowhere else. I'm just going to send them out to members, which may also be a cost expense, but fuck it. That's the price of having bad ideas, or good bad ideas. And okay, cool. So, and with that, I guess we'll start. So Poetry Lab usually features an interview section, and that always floats. That's why Sandesh is here now, just staring at me, babble. But I want to start with the magic conch. It's kind of weird and awkward, right? It's kind of beautiful. I call it the kazoo of vulnerability. Cool. So this is, I guess, the interview. I guess we've started now. Okay. This is it. Hi, Sandesh.
Hey.
Welcome. It's weird talking to someone I actually know pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
I've never done this.
You've never done an interview?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of the point. It's like, once again, I think we have all these conversations in closed spaces or very personally about art and process and craft and everything. But I don't know, to me it feels so important to actually have that conversation in public. Yeah. And I think as artists we're never actually given a chance to talk. I've seen you perform a bazillion times. Mm-hmm. Really never heard you talk about your art publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us what you're going to do? There's a lot of business going on.
I guess earlier on before I told you, I wish we were sitting in a coffee shop, all of us together.
Yeah.
and talking, but this seemed a little formal. But I guess, yeah, it is quite important, I guess, for artists to get a chance to do this in public. And sometimes I feel like even my best friends, like Jonathan per se, a lot of times like I don't fully know how he's thinking or his artistic process. So it's kind of great to discover that and get this opportunity. So thank you.
Yeah. And I guess like I always try, and like we can talk about your piece, but also like I always try and like, because it has poetry in the title and the way I've managed to like maneuver different artists in my head to where it makes sense is like, I just think like, I mean, poetry is such a like non-word. You know what I mean? Like we call poetry one thing, it's not. And for me, it's more like communication. It's all about language. You know, movement artists communicate with their body. You're creating sound in a different way and creating meaning. So I guess like I know from you that you read a lot. So I feel like there is language based in your process. I just don't. I've always wondered how that transfers because you read like a lot of nonfiction and stuff. Dude, how does that work into your music? Does it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I think about it. But recently I've been getting asked how many languages I speak, right? Just like random people. And there was a point when I was able to speak 5 languages when I lived back home in India. But I speak 2 different languages at home, Kannada and Tamil. So growing up, my dad spoke to me in his mother tongue, and my mom spoke to me in her mother tongue. But I can't read or write either of those languages. And then I studied Hindi and Sanskrit in school and English. But I can only like read and write in English now. I've forgotten Hindi. So I've had like kind of like a diverse experience with language, and I'm sure a lot of you have gotten asked this question, like, oh, in what language do you think, right? And I feel like a lot of the times, like, I don't know, but I feel like if I modified the question and if someone asked me what language you feel, I'd have a more different answer, because I know what Kannada feels like, and I know what English feels like when I read a word. But when it comes to thinking, I feel like I can't really, thinking sucks at me.
I usually can tell what language I'm thinking in because I'm trying to speak more Spanish, so I like switch. And sometimes like the babble will start in Spanish, which is rare for me. And that's always like the most surprising thing. And I can actually feel like the language center in my brain like physically in a different space. Do you ever feel that?
Yeah. Like in your body? Or?
Yeah, like in my body, like I can actually feel the language in a separate space.
Oh yeah, totally. I feel like when I want to curse in my mother tongue, there's more of a impetus, push, as opposed to just cursing in English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that like, I wonder how that translates. Like, you're such a rhythmic player. Do you think all that language kind of manages itself?
Maybe. I mean, I've heard some theories about how language influences like the music you create, and I don't think it's true. Or maybe it's true. I don't know. Where like, but it creates a lot of cliches. They say like, oh, French composers are lyrical, and German composers are more like rigid or something. Yeah. But I would say that like Kannada, Tamil are like rhythmic languages. And I mean, all languages are rhythmic, but maybe it's the nuances and like where the accents fall and how we pronounce our R's or stuff like that. But I am more inclined towards rhythm as an artist. I've always hung out with drummers more than guitar players. Yeah.
I think I was surprised when I found out you could play a string instrument.
Yeah.
First time.
I'm okay.
You're okay with a string instrument? Do you want to talk about like what you've made and provide some context?
Yeah, we'll just so I'm going to open with some songs that I wrote for the ukulele. I started teaching kids recently, and I was super inspired by like a couple of lullabies from Iran and India. One of the lullabies mom used to sing to me when I was a kid, and this other lullaby from Iran was just super beautiful. And I didn't really like think about it. I just like, I was teaching ukulele and I just started playing and started writing. So I haven't really thought about the whole thing about the concept of lullabies and how it relates to me. Instead, I just like made this work, and that was my response. So I feel like the work will just like speak to itself. Yeah. And then when you asked me to do a solo show, I was like, oh, okay, I want to like play some duos with some people I really respect, and of course I have to play as well. The whole show has this like really like song kind of structure to it. Pretty much all the pieces, a lot of repetition, and I kind of wanted to like really lean into it in this show and have just sections repeat verbatim sometimes, because I've done so many gigs where it's maybe more free or the structure is like more complicated or something. But I just love like repeating shit over and over again.
Why do you want?
Why? Oh, it just feels good.
Yeah.
And I like, listen to a lot of hip hop, and sometimes it just feels like that's just that groove is enough. You don't need more. So yeah, pretty much like the duo with Tom and Neil. There's a very not like a set structure, but a lot of repetition, and I didn't want to kind of be afraid of doing that. Yeah, and I'm super thankful for Jonathan and Neil and Tom, because I think it's going to be pretty amazing to do that. Thank you.
No, I think repetition is definitely terrifying. For sure. Like innocent groove is hard. Do you find it? Do you wrestle with that? Because you do a lot of like silent stuff and like a lot of repetition stuff. Do you have to like really try to sit in that space?
No, no, I feel pretty comfortable with that stuff. When I get a chance to do it, I really like doing it.
Yeah.
Like playing songs and stuff, pieces that have that sort of structure. Like maybe it's just A, B, or ABC, right? Like verse, chorus, bridge, blah. But in this context, improv, noise, whatever.
Yeah. Did you write any of this shit down for anyone?
No.
No, you just explain the structure and then have you done it before?
Written down stuff?
No, just like I'm sure you've written down things, but like in general, like have you jammed with anyone?
Yeah.
Like, you've played with everyone, but like did you work these things out? What's going on?
Yeah, it was all like verbally communicated.
I love that. I was just talking to someone and saying that it's like the funniest thing about working with you is like we don't jam, we just meet up and we talk for like 30 minutes, and then before you know it, then you're playing.
Yeah.
So we do the same thing.
Yeah, and also I trust these people so much that I don't really put it down on paper. It takes so much time.
To put it down on paper
Yeah.
too.
So
All right. Well, I guess that's it. Sandesh Nagaraj.
thank you.
Oh, are you gonna sing?
Am I gonna sing?
I think we were supposed to use the microphone for the interview, but I kind of forgot about that. I'm pretty anti-microphones for a poet.
You don't want a microphone?
Thank you. Yeah. And then you turn this guy off at the start of each cycle.
At the start of each cycle. Got it. Right.
I got it.
somehow I also knew it would cease to be a heap and become a non-heap if I ingested that singular morsel. Annadatta Sukhivola. A pinch of salt is an approximation I can recall in my sleep, but my understanding slips from the palm of my hands when I read my mom's recipe and it says, add coriander accordingly, add garam masala as per required, add tamarind for tanginess. And then there's my little sister who drank the lemonade that I made one hot summer in India. After she took a long, happy gulp, I asked her if it needed more sugar, and she replied, fast, your lemonade tastes fast. Fast, your lemonade tastes